Part 1. The still mind wins. Most people think power comes from force, from loudness, from movement. But the truth is more subtle, more dangerous. Real power, lasting, immovable, undeniable, comes from calm. The calm mind sees clearly. The calm leader decides wisely. The calm person walks through storms untouched. Success, at its core, is not about speed. It's not about intensity. It's not about showing up louder than everyone else. It's about outlasting, outthinking, and outcentering. And to do that, you need calm. You need the kind of inner stillness that can't be rattled by pressure, noise, or distraction. This audiobook isn't just about staying relaxed. It's about turning calmness into your most ruthless advantage. Because once you stop reacting to everything, once you stop being pulled by every emotion or comment or demand, you become something rare, unshakable. Picture this. Two people walk into the same high-stakes meeting. One is jittery, overprepared, trying to control every variable. The other walks in slow, steady, eyes clear. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't over-explain. He just watches. Waits. Speaks with weight. The room leans toward him, not because he forced it, but because calmness is magnetic. People are drawn to calm. They trust it. They feel safe near it. In a world full of noise, calm is power. So why don't more people practice it? Because calmness is hard. It takes discipline to remain still when others panic. It takes courage to speak slower when others rush. And it takes clarity to stand firm when emotions rise. But once you master it, calmness becomes a weapon sharper than anger, louder than shouting, and more effective than force. Let me be clear, calm doesn't mean passive. It means precise. Calm doesn't mean you don't act. It means you act when it matters most. The calm mind isn't weak, it's focused. And that focus becomes the foundation for smart decisions, strong relationships, and sustainable success. We've been taught to hustle, to grind, to speak fast and move faster. But speed without clarity is chaos. Motion without calm is burnout. You don't win by being busy. You win by being centered while others spin. This book will teach you how. It starts by showing you what calmness actually is, not some vague spiritual idea, but a practical advantage. It shows you how staying composed in high-stakes moments increases your influence. How slowing your responses sharpens your thinking. How calmness makes you a better leader, creator, and decision-maker. It will show you why the most powerful people are often the quietest. Not because they don't have anything to say, but because they only speak when their words will move the needle. They don't need to be loud. Their presence does the talking. We'll explore the link between calmness and confidence. Why people who are truly confident never feel the need to prove themselves. They're not flustered by opposition. They don't shrink from silence. And they never let someone else's urgency dictate their rhythm. We'll break down how calmness gives you leverage in relationships, negotiations, leadership, creativity. Even in crisis, the calmest person becomes the anchor everyone turns to. Not because they know everything, but because there's still enough to think clearly. You'll learn how to create calm in the middle of chaos. How to train your nervous system to stay steady. How to master your reactions instead of being mastered by them. Most people are slaves to emotion. They react to everything. A comment, a look, a delay, a challenge. They carry tension in their voice, their shoulders, their eyes. And they wonder why success feels so far away. But the calm person? He sees the same problems, but from above. He doesn't flinch. He responds, intentionally, strategically, decisively. This is your edge. This is what will separate you, not just from the average, but from the good. Because the good are talented. The great are calm. And the calm win in the long run. Always. Part 2. Calm is confidence without noise. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. Real confidence enters the room in silence, and everyone feels it. Calmness is that kind of confidence. It doesn't seek attention. It commands it. Not with force, but with presence. In fact, the calmest people in the room are often the ones everyone else instinctively looks toward, not because they demand power, but because they embody it. When you walk calmly, when you speak with pause, when you breathe through the pressure instead of rushing into it, people sense something different about you. They may not know what it is, but they respect it. They trust it. They want to follow it. Because calmness signals something critical. I'm not threatened. Think about that. Most people react defensively. They speak quickly to avoid silence. They argue just to be right. They escalate just to feel in control. But the calm person? They don't need to do any of that. Why? Because they're not playing the same game. They're not trying to dominate. They're not trying to win every argument. They're not addicted to being heard. They already know their value, and calmness is the proof. In business meetings, the calm voice is the one that makes the final decision. In a crisis, the calm leader is the one people rally around. In relationships, the calm presence is the one that de-escalates instead of igniting. That's not passivity. That's power. Understand this. Calmness is not the absence of emotion, it's control over it. People think if they don't react, they'll seem weak. But the opposite is true. Anyone can yell. Anyone can flinch. But only the strong can stay still in fire. Only the disciplined can let silence hang without filling it. That's the real strength. And that's what people respect. You'll notice it in high-level performers. The most dangerous fighters don't bounce around screaming. They stay loose. Grounded. Calm. The most successful CEOs don't barge into a room full of energy. They walk in slowly. Eyes clear. Body relaxed. They move like nothing surprises them. Because they've trained for everything. That's not arrogance. That's calibrated certainty. The same rule applies in your own life. Whether you're negotiating a deal, handling criticism, or facing unexpected chaos, the calm response always wins in the end. Not because it's nice, but because it's effective. When you respond with calmness, you maintain control. Control over the situation, over your energy, over your mind. And control equals advantage. The more composed you are, the more clearly you think. And the clearer you think, the better you choose. The better you choose, the more you win. Simple. But let's go deeper. Why is calmness so rare? Because it takes work. Real calm isn't pretending. It's not surface-level breathing tricks or fake smiles. It's rooted in self-trust. It comes from knowing who you are, what you value, what you can handle, and most importantly, what's not worth your energy. Calm people don't react to everything because not everything deserves a reaction. They don't respond to every insult. They don't explain themselves to everyone. They don't match other people's chaos. They stay in their lane. Not because they're passive, but because they're focused. Focused on what matters. Focused on their mission. Focused on what moves the needle. They understand every emotional reaction is a withdrawal from their energy bank. And they're not in the business of emotional bankruptcy. So they protect their calm like it's gold. Because it is. And here's the good news, you can train this. You can condition yourself to stay calm under pressure. To speak when needed, not when triggered. To sit in silence with confidence instead of discomfort. It starts with awareness. Notice when you're pulled. Notice when your heartbeat spikes, when your jaw tightens, when your mouth wants to speak just to defend. Don't judge it. Just see it. That's your signal. That's where the training begins. Because the moment you can pause before reacting, the moment you can breathe instead of argue, the moment you can observe instead of attack, you step into a version of yourself that is incredibly powerful. Not because you know more, but because you leak less. You preserve energy. You hold frame. You stay centered. And that, over time, makes you unstoppable. Part 3. Control the room without saying a word. Every environment has energy. Every room has rhythm. Most people walk into that room and absorb the energy that's already there. If it's chaotic, they become anxious. If it's tense, they shrink. If it's loud, they shout just to be heard. But the rare few, the calm, composed ones, don't take on the room's energy. They reset it. They walk in, grounded and unshaken. And something happens. The energy starts to shift. Conversations slow down. People become more thoughtful. The noise lowers. Why? Because true calmness is contagious. Not the fake kind. Not the, let me act calm, mask. The real kind, the kind that radiates from someone who has nothing to prove and nothing to fear. These people don't need to dominate the space with their voice. They don't need to interrupt or over-explain. Their presence does the talking. They've mastered something most never learn, non-reactive dominance. This doesn't mean they're passive. It means they've chosen to influence through stillness, not force. Influence through clarity, not chaos. They're not interested in sounding right. They're committed to being right, even if it takes longer to show. In business, this is one of the most powerful tools you can develop. Imagine walking into a meeting with clients, investors, or a team. Everyone's throwing opinions, debating fast, trying to win the room. And there you are, calm, grounded, not rushing to speak, just watching, listening, processing. And when you do talk, you speak in short, clear sentences. No fluff. No filler. You'll be surprised how the room shifts. Suddenly, your words carry more weight. Not because you're louder, but because you're anchored. Here's why this works. When everyone else is reactive, the calm person becomes the emotional authority. You hold the emotional center of the room. You become the reference point others unconsciously adjust to. And in that moment, you control the pace, the tone, and often the outcome. In leadership, this is crucial. People don't follow the most aggressive voice. They follow the most stable one. Especially in chaos. In crisis, calm leaders are rare and revered. Not because they have all the answers, but because they think straight while others panic. They don't crumble under pressure. They don't throw blame. They breathe, assess, respond. That rhythm is what people trust. That rhythm is what makes them effective. Calmness gives you that rhythm. And it's not just useful in high-stakes rooms. It's transformational in day-to-day life. Because once you realize you don't need to prove yourself in every conversation, you become more powerful in every interaction. You don't over-explain. You don't chase people's validation. You listen more, speak less, and when you do speak, it's impactful. Because it's measured. It's intentional. It's not a reaction. It's a response. You start using silence as a tool. A pause becomes your ally. Because silence isn't empty. It's full of signal. It gives your words contrast. Weight. Space to land. Most people are afraid of silence because they associate it with weakness or awkwardness. But calm people? They understand silence is strength. It says, I'm not rushed. It says, I'm not desperate. It says, I'm not afraid of what happens next. That's what the world feels when you stop being reactive. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the emotional temperature instead of reflecting it. And eventually, that calmness starts working for you, 24/7. You stop wasting energy. You stop carrying other people's stress. You stop playing emotional ping-pong with every distraction or confrontation. Instead, you observe, assess, decide, and act with calm precision. That's how you lead. That's how you win respect. And that's how you make rooms bend in your direction, without raising your voice. Part 4. Emotional control is market value in today's world. Emotional control is a currency. If you can master your emotions when others are owned by theirs, you're not just more peaceful, you're more valuable. Think about it. Every high-level position, every powerful role, every great leader, you'll find one common thread: they don't lose control. They may feel fear, frustration, stress, But they never let those emotions dictate their actions. Why? Because the moment your emotions take over, your logic disappears. And the moment your logic disappears, your leverage is gone. A calm mind sees the full board. It sees the short-term play and the long-term game. It knows when to pause, when to wait, when to strike. An emotional mind? It reacts. It spirals. It overcorrects. It ruins opportunity through panic. That's why emotional stability is worth more than almost any skill. Because it protects every other skill you've built. Your knowledge? Worthless if you panic and pressure. Your experience? Irrelevant if you snap when criticized. Your talent? Wasted if you burn out reacting to drama. This is why CEOs, elite athletes, military commanders, anyone who leads under pressure, train not just for physical or mental strength, but emotional strength. Because in chaos, the one who stays calm becomes the one in charge. It's not about being robotic. It's about being disciplined enough to respond from principle, not emotion. Because emotions are temporary. Principles are not. The calm person doesn't avoid emotion, they use it. They feel the fear, but they don't run from it. They feel the anger, but they don't unleash it. They feel the stress, but they don't collapse under it. Instead, they translate emotion into signal. Fear becomes focus. Anger becomes boundary. Stress becomes clarity. This kind of calmness isn't genetic. It's trained. Through repetition. Through awareness. Through practice. It's built in those moments when someone disrespects you, and you don't bite. When the deal falls apart, and you don't spiral. When someone tries to provoke you, and you stay unshaken. Every time you choose response over reaction, you're sharpening that muscle. Every time you choose pause over panic, you're gaining a level. And over time, people start to notice. You'll hear things like, "Man, nothing seems to rattle you. You handled that better than I would have. I don't know how you stayed so composed." That's when you realize emotional control is rare, and rare things are valuable. Your calmness becomes a signal of leadership. It becomes a brand. It becomes part of your reputation. And reputation, especially one built on stability, is a force multiplier. People trust you more. They want to work with you. They want to follow your lead. Because when the storm hits, they don't want someone who panics. They want someone who's been there. Someone who's steady. Someone who, even when shaking inside, can still make the right call. That's who you become when calmness is your foundation, not your mask. And here's the key: when your calmness is authentic, people feel it. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to pretend. They just sense. This person can handle pressure. This person won't fold. This person is safe to follow. That's what makes calmness a competitive advantage. It's not just personal peace, it's professional power. It makes you better in deals, better in conflict, better under deadlines. Because your calm mind creates space to think, choose, act with intelligence. And that space? That's where all great decisions are made. That's where legacies are built. Part 5. The noise is the enemy. Noise isn't just external. It lives inside your mind too. It's the voice that tells you to rush, to overthink, to respond too fast. It's the endless scroll, the constant stimulation, the pressure to always do more. But here's the truth: the louder the world gets, the more powerful calmness becomes. Because noise creates confusion. Confusion creates hesitation. Hesitation kills momentum. That's why the calmest people win. Not because they know everything, but because they clear the noise fast. They shut down the mental clutter. They simplify. They create inner stillness so they can operate from clarity, not chaos. Look around. Most people are overstimulated and underfocused. Their phones ping every 10 seconds. Their thoughts bounce between tasks. Their bodies are wired but tired. They're not calm, they're just numb. Numb from overconsumption. Numb from never stopping. Calmness is the antidote. It's not about avoiding the world. It's about reclaiming your control over it. It's about learning to hear your own thoughts again, to think for yourself. And you can't do that if you're always plugged in, always scrolling, always reacting. This is what separates the elite from the average. Average minds are full of noise. Elite minds are full of focus. Focus is not a superpower. It's a result of calm. When your mind is still, your decisions sharpen. When your heart is steady, your voice becomes more powerful. When your energy is calm, your influence multiplies. But you need to protect it, because the world is built to rob it. Apps want your attention. Marketing wants your urgency. Social media wants your reaction. Everything around you is designed to keep you distracted. And if you don't actively choose calmness, the world will choose chaos for you. That's why calmness is a daily practice, not a one-time achievement. You cultivate it every morning by how you start your day. Do you grab your phone before you've even breathed? Do you open your inbox before you've opened your mind? Or do you take 5 minutes to sit still, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, I control my pace. I control my energy. I am not at the mercy of the world. That one practice, done daily, changes everything. Because when you start your day in calm, you set a rhythm that carries into everything else. You walk slower, think deeper, speak clearer. You stop being a slave to urgency and start becoming a master of presence. And presence is magnetic. When you are present, people feel it. They trust you more. They remember you longer. Because true calmness isn't cold, it's awake. It's sharp. It's ready. You don't need to hustle like everyone else. You just need to move with full awareness. That's where your edge lives, not in force, but in flow. So the next time noise tries to pull you, pause. Don't respond immediately. Don't feed the fire. Just sit back. Breathe once. Watch everything settle. Then act, only when you're ready. The most dangerous person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who is calm, collected, watching, waiting for the right move. And when they move, they end the game. Part 6. Stillness is a superpower. Stillness isn't inaction. It's intentional control. It's the ability to hold back, not because you're weak, but because you're calculating. And in a world that glorifies speed, the person who moves only when it's time becomes unstoppable. You see, the world revel. RDS motion. We're told to keep going. Keep grinding. Keep pushing. But real success doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing less, with more precision. Stillness is the space where that precision is born. When your mind is still, you stop reacting to life and start designing it. You no longer chase every opportunity. You evaluate. You no longer respond to every message. You prioritize. You no longer say yes out of guilt. You say no with clarity. Stillness is where your discernment sharpens. It's the pause between thought and action. It's the breathe before the big decision. It's the silence that lets truth rise to the surface. And here's the truth, most people fear stillness. They equate it with laziness or weakness. But that's because they've never experienced the power of it. Stillness isn't about doing nothing. It's about not doing anything unnecessary. That's why the most elite minds in the world, billionaires, athletes, spiritual leaders, intentionally build stillness into their lives. It's not just a luxury. It's a necessity. Because when you give your mind space to breathe, to think, to simply exist, you start seeing through the fog. You notice patterns others miss. You connect dots faster. You make smarter choices, not just faster ones. You become more intuitive, more grounded, more lethal in your clarity. And that clarity saves time, energy, and emotion. You stop getting dragged into meaningless arguments. You stop apologizing for protecting your peace. You stop trying to be everything to everyone. You start choosing with intention. You start living on purpose. You start walking in rhythm with your own vision, not someone else's urgency. This is where the calm person wins. They move slower, but land harder. They speak less, but say more. They do less, but create more impact. Because stillness isn't the absence of progress. It's the root of progress. It's where power is gathered before it's released. Picture a bow being drawn. That moment of stillness before the arrow flies? That's where all the energy lives. That's calmness. That's stillness. It looks like nothing, but it's everything. And when the calm person releases? Bullseye. So don't fall for the hustle trap. Don't equate movement with mastery. Your stillness is not your weakness, it's your secret weapon. Use it. Part 7. Your nervous system is your strategy if you want to perform like the elite, lead like the elite, and think like the elite. You need to train the one system that controls everything, your nervous system. Because no matter how smart you are, no matter how ambitious or talented, if your nervous system is out of control, your decisions will be too. Think about it. Every reaction, every overstep, every emotional spiral you've had, it didn't come from logic. It came from a nervous system that got hijacked by fear, pressure, adrenaline, or ego. The body tensed. The breath shortened. The heart raced. And you reacted, not from power, but from instinct. That's how most people live. Always triggered. Always activated. Always in survival mode. But calmness? Calmness lives in a regulated nervous system. The calm person isn't just thinking clearly. They're physically built to stay steady in chaos. Because they've trained their body to remain neutral. They've practiced the pause. They've strengthened the gap between stimulus and response. This isn't just mindset. It's biology. And the good news? You can train it. Start with your breath. Slow, intentional breathing resets your nervous system in real time. It signals to your brain, we're safe, we're in control. We don't need to panic. Start with your posture. Stand tall. Relax your jaw. Unclench your fists. Loosen your shoulders. Your body leads your mind. If you look calm, you'll feel calm. Start with your awareness. Catch the moment when your energy spikes. Feel your heart speeding up? That's your cue. Notice your voice rising? That's your signal. Use those moments as training reps, not failures. Because every time you notice yourself tipping into emotional chaos, and every time you pause, breathe, reset, and choose differently, you are reprogramming your operating system. You are turning your calmness from a theory into a weapon. And soon, things that used to shake you will barely touch you. That client who cancels last minute? That coworker who tries to provoke you? That sudden pressure right before a pitch? You'll see it. You'll feel it. But you won't be pulled by it. Because your nervous system has been trained for this. You'll begin to feel what few people ever do, stable. Unrushed. Rooted. Ready. And from that place, you will make better decisions. You'll stop burning energy on things that don't matter. You'll stop chasing dopamine hits from speed and drama. Instead, you'll move from a different frequency. Slower. Smarter. Stronger. Because real strength isn't how much you force. It's how well you stay centered when everything else tries to pull you out. That's the game. And your nervous system is the controller. So train it. Master it. And your whole life. Your business, your relationships, your focus will rise with it. Part 8. The calm mind sees what others miss in any situation. Business, life, relationships. The person who sees the most clearly has the greatest advantage. But clarity doesn't come from intensity. It comes from calm. Because when your mind is storming with thoughts, fears, emotions, you don't see what's real. You see your projection. Your bias. Your past. Your panic. And that kind of vision leads to impulsive decisions, broken trust, missed opportunity. But the calm mind? The calm mind notices what others ignore. It hears what wasn't said. It reads energy. It sees patterns. It spots openings in silence that others talk over. And that skill? That ability to see through chaos with precision, is what separates the masters from the amateurs. Think about it like this. In chess, the player who sees one move ahead is average. The one who sees 3 moves ahead wins. But the one who sees 10 moves ahead? That's the grandmaster. You can't see 10 moves ahead if you're reacting emotionally to the last move. That's why calmness matters. It creates space in your mind. And in that space, clarity forms. Clarity about people. Clarity about timing. Clarity about what really matters, and what doesn't. You stop chasing noise and start chasing alignment. You stop seeking validation and start trusting your vision. Calmness makes you a better listener. Because you're not waiting for your turn to talk. You're absorbing, watching, processing. And that gives you real information, not just surface-level chatter. Calmness makes you a better strategist. Because you're not rushing into decisions. You're reading the whole map before making a move. It makes you a better communicator. Because you speak slower. You choose your words with care. And your pauses make your words land harder. It makes you more trustworthy. Because you're not reactive. You don't shift with every opinion. You hold your ground. And it makes you more persuasive. Because people don't trust loud desperation. They trust calm certainty. Every great negotiator understands this. The one who can sit in silence the longest wins. The one who doesn't rush to fill the gap gains power. The one who doesn't get pulled by tension controls the tension. This is what you build when you build calmness. A mind that doesn't just survive under stress, but thrives. A mind that slows down under pressure. A mind that sees clearly when others can't. And that kind of mind? That's where smart decisions come from. That's where original thinking happens. That's where long-term wins are built. So if you want to get ahead, stop moving faster. Start calming your mind. Because your edge isn't just in working harder. It's in seeing deeper. And only the calm can do that. Part 9. The calm person holds the frame in every conversation, every negotiation, every interaction. There's always a frame. The frame is the invisible rule that dictates who's leading the moment. Who's setting the pace. Who's emotionally grounded. Who's reacting, and who's not. And here's the truth, the calm person always holds the frame. Why? Because calmness signals certainty. And certainty is magnetic. When two people interact, the one who is more grounded emotionally, more clear mentally, and more stable in energy, will always be the one the other subconsciously follows. This isn't manipulation. It's energetic leadership. Let's say someone is rushing you. Talking fast. Pressuring you. Most people get swept into that frame. They respond fast. They speed up. They play defense. They lose control of the moment. But the calm person? They stay slow. They breathe. They observe. They don't let the other person's urgency become their urgency. They hold the frame. They speak with weight. With pause. With presence. And suddenly, the other person slows down. Because the frame just shifted. This happens everywhere, in sales calls. In leadership meetings. Even in conflict with friends or family. The calm person becomes the anchor. And the best part? You don't need to dominate to hold the frame. You just need to refuse to be pulled. Refuse to match their panic. Refuse to overreact. Refuse to abandon your center. Because people are constantly looking for someone who feels safe. Someone who isn't reactive. Someone who isn't moved by every storm. When you become that person, they start to follow your energy. That's influence. Not because you're the loudest, but because you're the clearest. And in this age of chaos, clarity is rare. Calmness is rare. Presence is rare. But when you live from calm, you start to speak differently. You stop defending yourself unnecessarily. You stop chasing closure or approval. You start letting silence do more of the work. Because silence is not weakness, it's pressure. And when you're comfortable with silence, you control the pressure. You control the emotional tone of the room. You control the rhythm of the conversation. You control the negotiation, not by force, but by presence. That's why calmness is such a powerful leadership trait. Because leadership isn't about talking the most. It's about being the emotional thermostat. And the person who keeps their energy grounded, their tone consistent, and their reactions slow, is the person others lean toward in times of uncertainty. So stop trying to control people. Control your frame. And your frame will start to shape everything around you. Part 10. The calm life wins the long game in the end. The person who wins is not the one who rushed the most. Not the one who shouted the loudest. Not the one who hustled until they burned out. It's the one who stayed steady. The one who remained grounded. The one who protected their peace and built from clarity. The calm life is not soft, it's strategic. Because real success isn't just about what you build. It's about what you can sustain. And only a calm mind, a calm body, a calm soul can carry the weight of long-term greatness. The fast rise often burns out. The chaotic life often collapses. But the calm one? That person keeps moving. Keeps thinking. Keeps choosing, without noise, without panic, without self-destruction. They know when to act. They know when to rest. They know that momentum is not created by force. It's maintained by rhythm. That's what calmness gives you, rhythm. Flow. Sustainability. It protects your energy from leaks. It shields your attention from distraction. It builds a foundation that doesn't crack when pressure hits. Because calmness is your shield. Your lens. Your amplifier. It turns pain into perspective. Conflict into composure. And urgency into strategy. This isn't just philosophy. It's a practical decision. A high-performance operating system. Because the more calm you are, the better you lead. The clearer you think. The faster you recover. The stronger you stand. People often think calmness is the reward after success. But here's the truth, calmness is the path to it. When you master calmness, you master the one thing that controls everything else, yourself. And when you master yourself, the world responds differently. Doors open. People listen. Opportunities appear. Not because you're lucky, but because you're finally ready. So the next time chaos knocks at your door, don't fight it. Don't join it. Just pause. Just breathe. Just remain still. Because stillness is where clarity begins. And clarity is where your power lives. Calmness is your secret weapon. Wield it. Protect it. Master it. And watch what happens next. The calm life isn't the easy life. It's the powerful one.